Were you one of those who secretly read comics in class? Not me. Comic Fridays were one of my fondest memories growing up. My father used to bring home comics for my brother and I every Friday. We built up quite a collection over time. One day we swapped all of those for army men at school. Now, if we'd known better, maybe we would have kept some back, for you may know that the right comics fetch a pretty penny these days. If you watch those programs called American Pickers or something like that, they're searching for things of huge value, those that can fetch amazing prices. If you watch those shows, you'll know that those whose business that is know exactly what to look for, and they can tell the really valuable from the cheap or the fake. Now, if you're wondering, the most valuable comic in the world of all time featured the first appearance of Superman, Action Comics #1, 1938, and is valued at a cool $3.8 million. Those who are in that business take great pains to search carefully that they might grasp onto the truly valuable. How much more in the business of life to get a grip on the truth and to discern the true from the false and the fake. It does mean the difference between life and death. Welcome to COVIDSATIONS. We are in part 3 of this short ABCs video series, helping us to have fruitful gospel conversations with our unsaved family and friends in a fake news, relativistic world where ultimate truth is often cast aside. This week, we look at C. Peter says these challenging, familiar words in chapter 3. But even if you should suffer for righteousness' sake, you will be blessed. Have no fear of them, nor be troubled, but in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy, always being prepared to make a defense to anyone who asks you for a reason for the hope that is in you, and yet do it with gentleness and respect. Much of Peter's letter prepares us for the fact that even if we think we have the best, most important news in the world, many will not receive it as good news and will often reject you. Telling the truth takes great courage. Like the first time you gave the oral in front of the class, or perhaps any time for that matter. There's something about being listened to in front of your peers, let alone the teacher, fearing perhaps their ridicule, that you might embarrass yourself. Well, it's not dissimilar in that struggle to share the gospel, is it? The fear of rejection, ridicule, and persecution. Sometimes our struggle comes from not knowing what to say or being confused perhaps about the mixed messages of the claims as to what is the gospel. And ours is not a message of come to Jesus and your life will be great, or come to church and be religious, or become a better person with Jesus' help. And it's not merely believe in God, be spiritual. In the midst of these confusions and fears, Peter says to believers, verse 15 again, in your hearts honor Christ the Lord as holy. That phrase helps us a great deal, both with our courage and our clarity in sharing the gospel. With our courage, and we'll talk more about this later in the series, because it reminds us who's in charge. Christ is Lord. But it also helps us with our clarity, because it reminds us what the core of our message of hope is. C is for commitment to clarity. But we might say too, C is for Christ, because the Bible is absolutely clear. It is all about Jesus. The obvious needs to be stated again and again today. We cannot talk about the gospel, about Christianity, without talking about Christ Jesus. So let's use that phrase of Peter's and put it this way, and let it help us as we get clear about what our message is. Jesus Christ is Lord. Jesus Christ is Lord.